Hi, welcome to Listen and Win, our first podcast series brought to you today by our sponsor, Speak and Win UK. Obviously, we had to call it Listen and Win. We have got an amazing podcast for you today, an incredible guest. How much smoke can I blow? But we'll find out later. But we want you to share this podcast with your friends, your family, your contacts, your network, because this is a free podcast service. And we want to help young people and adults build the courage to speak so they win in life. Win in those key moments. So that difficult meeting, that presentation, that pitch, advocacy, maybe diffusing a situation, just chatting to the friends. We want you to build the courage so you can speak at those milestone, crossroad moments in life. You actually do have the courage and the confidence to speak. So we are absolutely thrilled, me and Caitlin, the lovely Caitlin, our superstar presenter, to welcome Liam KIZILTAN.
Thank you very much for having me. You've bigged me up quite a bit.
Oh,
there,
mate,
so
I haven't even started, Liam.
Feeling the pressure.
Liam, I haven't even started, mate. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a little introduction.
Go on.
Firstly, I'll just say welcome to our Caitlin, who's on the couch with me. I mean, I needed to call in some reinforcements here because we've got the big guns over there. Do you know what I mean? So Caitlin's our social media guru, and she's also one of our amazing presenters. So Caitlin, hopefully, is going to be firing the questions at Liam today.
I'll try.
But I'm going to introduce the guy. And then I'd like you to just say a little bit about what you do, who you are, how you got there. A few minutes, problem. Okay. So Liam, so what have we got? We've got founder of Equip, incredible youth organisation. Are you happy with youth organisation?
Got spot on.
Amazing speaker, brilliant youth speaker, speaks all over the country. And he's also only just got over 500,000 followers on TikTok.
Somehow.
So he's a big deal. He's a lovely lad. Now, I have known Liam. I was trying to think before how long I've known him for. It's actually, he's going to feel really old here. Over 22 years, because he started playing, well, he went to school with my oldest lad, Joel, and then they started playing football together for Gilmore Primary, if you know Gilmore Primary. So I've known him since he was a tot. So I've seen this young man go from quite a quiet, unassuming young man, turns into this ferocious, it's like the little hamster, turned into this big lion. He goes around marauding on social media, devouring whoever he comes into contact with. So it's going to be lovely today for me and Caitlin to ask him questions, to kind of unpack his story and see how he's gone from this quite a quiet, I would say shy, young man, and his confidence is now it's off the chart. So I'm so interested to just hear his story. So please share it with your family and friends network. But let's go over to Liam. Liam, tell us a bit about Equipping yourself and what you do.
So Equip, as you said, is based as a sort of like a youth organisation. But what we want to be is a brand in which children look at and go, it's good to be a good person. In fact, it's cool to be a good person. So we equip people with the skills that they need to live a better and more successful life. And we teach skills like confidence, kindness, respect, a whole host of different skills in which we believe if a child can adapt to these skills early, it's going to help them in whatever avenue that they want to go down, whether it be sports or the world of work or education or whatever it may be. We just want kids to see that being a good person is a cool thing. I think maybe that it stems from maybe a background in which when I was brought up through school, I think PSHE was always sort of seen as the thing that you had to do or the add-on, and was never sort of being like, it's actually really good to focus on being determined or really good to focus on being kind to people or putting others before yourself. So I wanted to sort of create something in which that would be the focus, the ethos. And at first it started with us delivering activities within schools and different places. But what it's evolved into is more of a brand in which we hope that kids will look at and go, oh, Equip, that stands for that. And that's why I want to be a part of it and maybe wear the T-shirt or wear the hoodie or go to the events that they put on. Do you want me to go through how it sort of started the early stage?
Please,
and go on. So I went to a university called UCFB, which stands for University College of Football Business. It was originally based in Burnley, where I went for 2 years, and then it transitioned over to Manchester at the Etihad Stadium in my final year. Yeah. But when I was in my first year of uni in Burnley, there was a competition called the Sports Entrepreneurship Award, which was run by the chairman of the university, who's called Brendan Flood. And Brendan, he wasn't just the chairman of the uni, he was a director of Burnley Football Club and a co-founder of Orlando FC, and also massive in sort of like the real estate industry as well. So he ran the competition, and the winners would get some startup money. I think it was $5,000 or so. For, obviously, not just like straight cash. Here you go, here's $5,000, because it wouldn't have gone on a quip. Not when I was a student. It'd have been in Red Door. But no, so it was always like you'd have to put the receipts through the university or whatever. But it was a $5,000 sort of pocket of money for you to start your business. And I entered it, and I was the only person from the Burnley campus to enter. They also have another campus in London at Wembley Stadium, and they had a whole host of people enter. Yeah. So I had to go to Wembley to do it with them. So I travelled to London, was the only one who went from our side, and managed to be one of the winners.
Wow,
and
brilliant.
The idea was based on using sport as a vehicle to teach the skills that I spoke on, because that was more of my background in that time of my life. Yeah. So he loved the idea, and part of it was the money, but also while I was at the university, and thankfully I won it in year one. While I was at the university, I was able to have sort of like business council and meetings with him. So somebody who's like a co-founder of Orlando FC and stuff like that.
What an experience.
To sort of have somebody like that at a young age of 20, 21, sort of trying to teach you the ways of how to build a business was fantastic. So that's how Equip started. Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Tell us about some of your speaking experience, Liam, because you've done loads of speaking and presentations, haven't you?
Yeah, so speaking wise, there's like almost like two areas of my life. I'd say one would be like work, in which Equip, and also maybe a bit of presenting and for different businesses and organisation. But then the other side of it would be church focused. I started public speaking properly when I was in church, maybe around 18, 19 years of age, helping out with kids' stories.
I was there, I saw him when he first spoke in church. I was like a proud dad.
I definitely wasn't very good at first, by the way. I look back now and I go, there was massive rooms for improvement if I look back to when I first started. But that was definitely where I sort of found my feet, practiced. Our church at that time maybe had around 350 to 400 people going. So when you're 18, 19 and you're putting yourself in that position of, which is quite uncomfortable at first, it doesn't help you leaps and bounds, and it's helped me in my work life massively. But the focus of it then was to give the message of what we were focusing on, which was from the Bible.
Well, I can confirm, Liam, that standing up in front of 400 people, even in a church environments where people are usually quite friendly, is one of the most daunting prospects ever.
Absolutely.
And I followed that path just like you many, many years before. But what I can remember when you started talking, presenting and doing those presentations where you say, you sort of lacked in confidence, etc. I don't really remember you being that kind of looking that, lacking in confidence. But what I do remember is you very, very quickly grew in confidence. And I mean, we'll come to that later, but that's what I'm interested in. I'd love to know, how did you... I just felt you progressed so quickly and built your confidence from where I was sitting. I felt you progressed really quickly. So that's something interesting. Just before you finish on, so we've done Equip, we've done your talking, and then just mention, your TikTok and your massive
social
numbers.
media. So Equip's on social media at Equip Group, on TikTok, Instagram. So on TikTok, it's 570,000 followers at the moment.
We've got about 5.
And then
Got to start somewhere, love.
Exactly.
Instagram, I think maybe like 33, 34,000.
35,000. I was looking last night, mate. Come on. I've done my research. Liam, I've done my research. We're not messing about here.
Don't mess about here. No, but I definitely can't take all the credit for that. I think there's the team as well, especially Tendai, who's massively involved in that. I would say that, sort of from my experience on marketing side through different work scenarios that I've been in, I've been able to like learn the ins and outs of how social media works, the algorithms, how having a critical eye on what's good content and what's bad content, how are we going to engage. People's mindset now when they're on social media is that if you don't engage them in the first 2 seconds, especially on TikTok where you're just swiping up all the time, if you don't get them there, you're gone. So I would say that my part of it would be more of that like critical eye. Still on there now and again, but more so now Tendai. I just feel he's better than me on that side of things, of doing the funny memes and stuff like that. So I sort of like come in on that side of things, and he's got more of an influence and a role of actually being it. And I think that's also important as well when you're managing a team, is that people feel that they have a big part to play, and if they've got something which they're good at, they should be told keep going, keep doing more of it. I think a lot of leaders get scared when somebody's better than them at something, where you should actually be saying, no, you're better than me at that. You go, you
Yeah.
do that more.
Well, that's a massive sign of strength, and it's great that you're gracious, because I know lots of leaders who aren't like that, Liam, and it's like the nose gets put out of joint, and there's a lot of life coaching going about saying, whatever you do, make sure you're not better than the boss, because it'll be like, you'll get it, you'll like be out the door. So you've got to be careful, haven't you? You've got to be tread that one
not
carefully.
At a quip. I want everyone to be better than the boss at a quip. That makes my job well easier.
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't that a great philosophy? And isn't that refreshing to hear? Because I've met loads of bosses. As soon as you even show a bit of initiative or creativity or start doing well, instead of applauding you and encouraging you and backing you, they're like giving you a hard
Put you back
time.
in the corner.
It's like,
Yeah, well, it stems for me. Sorry, this is also like a bit of an issue for me. I honestly, sometimes I get angry over it. But the Apprentice, all of like the promos that they do is like, I'm going to crush this person. Nobody will stand in my way. Like, what are you on about? When's anybody ever in business gone, you shall not pass? like it's just ridiculous. Like this idea of like out for yourself type of thing is what makes you prosper in that world, when it's absolutely not. It's the exact opposite for me. Where if you can show kindness and empathy towards people, then that is actually the true way to be a great leader.
And people usually do a lot better when you treat them like that as well.
100%.
So
yeah,
why wouldn't you?
It's just like this media narrative that's created this idea, and then people who maybe haven't put themselves in leadership positions but want to be leaders, as you said, get carried away and go, I want to be the one who does everything. I'm the boss man. It's my way or the highway. When really, if you've got experience in those areas, being kind and having empathy on people is definitely the best way to go about it.
There's an old analogy that you've reminded me of, and it's basically like you get that jealous leader, and you just started a fire there, and basically just gets a big load of water, pours it all over, puts you back in your corner, like Caitlin said. Or as a leader, you've got another option: fan the flames, put some more fuel on it, and it eventually becomes a bonfire. It's not rocket science, is it? So, and I've met loads of leaders, loads of people in positions of authority, etc., where they just pour the water on the fire, and very soon the fire fizzles out. But then I've met, and I would say it's in the minority, leaders like yourself who had the philosophy, I'm going to stoke this fire. I'm going to fan the flames. I'm going to put the fuel on next minute. It's like an absolute beacon. It's going off, It's like, can be seen from outer space. It's like, that's what you want, isn't it?
It is, definitely. And it would be wrong of me to be what you've just said, the opposite of that, when Equip is all about teaching those life skills anyway. So exactly. I've got to replicate what the brand is in the way that I manage the team.
Exactly. Well, do we feel like we've got to know our guest a little bit? We got the measure of them, haven't we?
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do with all our guests on our first podcast series, Listen and Win.
Love it.
I just got to keep saying it.
You need like a little jingle there.
I have to say, now, we had me and
We
Graham.
should have a jingle, actually.
don't get her started on jingles. Now, me and Caitlin and Graham, we had a big discussion on what we should actually call this podcast. Now, it is Listen and Win. That's Graham's.
Not the Sci Valley Show.
Well, nearly, but I wanted to cut. It was nearly called Two Peas in a Pod. Cast.
I like that.
See what we did there?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
See what we did there?
Yeah.
But Graham overruled us all, didn't he?
Yeah, I did.
Common sense. Listen and Win.
The brand man.
So what we're going to do with all our guests is, before we get into the meat and bones of how you build the courage to speak and how you found your confidence, we just want to start off by just a couple of minutes on. We want you to tell us which speakers in your life have encouraged you, amateur or professional, from as young as you like, who's encouraged you, why and how.
When you said this, that you were going to ask me this question, I started to think, and I had so many. You don't even realise how many.
Wow. That's good.
Why were you
good. You're not going to dry up on me.
Oh no, definitely not.
That'd be a rubbish podcast, wouldn't it? Liam, any chance?
I've had to limit it. I've had to limit it and cut it down to people who I really think have had an effect on either the way that I speak personally now, or have either spoken, and because they've spoke, I've changed some sort of aspect of my life, whether it be work or even like personal life type of stuff. So I've narrowed it down to 4. One who I know you love, who just missed the cut, was Gary Vee.
Oh, he's brilliant.
He's fantastic. Amazing. He's bold. He's funny.
Straight,
he's strong. He talks straight at you.
So straight.
But I just think there's with him, because he understands what he's talking about so much, it's just natural. I don't reckon he preps. And in a good way, because he knows it so well. He doesn't have to.
Yeah.
His prep comes through understanding the world of business and motivation so well that when he just gets up, it's just like from the heart, bang on the chest type of thing.
Yeah.
But the reason why he didn't make my cut was, I was like, has he made me make life decisions as much as these other 4?
Wow.
Wow. And I went, no. So I've got 4. 2 of them are from like sort of one area and 2 of them are from another. So the first one is through sort of church life. So obviously, as I've already said, a lot of my upbringing from 18 onwards in terms of public speaking and sort of shaping my life has came through church. And the pastor at Bridge Chapel was called Bill Bygroves. Bill was a fantastic preacher, fantastic public speaker. I don't think it would do him justice to say he was amateur, if that makes sense.
One of the most professional speakers who was actually an amateur that we've ever met.
100%.
Now, isn't he? Is he still LFC chaplain for Liverpool Football Club?
I think so. Yeah, he's still
chaplain,
definitely
isn't he?
involved in doing stuff with LFC. But the way he spoke with heart. He spoke. He was I remember somebody saying to me, if you can speak and teach him and almost market the Bible, you can market anything. Like, because that's a good point, isn't it? Because the Bible is like, it's opposing to what people's thoughts is. Exactly.
Isn't it?
Just very strong views. If you could like win people over for that, like, you'll do well in any category of life. But Bill, you know Bill yourself, Si, spoke from the heart.
Incredible.
He was
Passion.
also funny.
It's
the passion. It makes you go.
So passionate.
Every time he spoke, I'd either go away thinking about something or challenged to change.
Yeah.
So for me, he was right up
Brilliant.
there. Another one on that side, on the Christian side, is Matt Chandler. Don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh, yes, yeah. No,
An American pastor. And he's literally, maybe I'd say, the American carbon copy of Bill. But the only difference is Bill doesn't like social media. I don't think. I think if Bill had like gone, Joe, what, we're going to kid ourselves out. A bit like this podcast, we're going to kid ourselves out, get the cameras, get the microphones.
Bill's like that. What's the social reindeer? What's the social reindeer? What's the flip flop and that? What's Facebook and what's all this thing?
Yeah, so that's definitely that would probably be Bill. But I think he just didn't. I think he would see it as almost there's an element of promoting himself where he just wanted to be pure. And I don't think Matt Chandler does that, by the way. I think just Matt Chandler's just a bit younger and understands that there's a lot more reach. But he's the same. Powerful, emotional, like inspires you to want to listen and to want to live by what he's talking about, which obviously stems from the Bible. So them 2 on that side, and then the other 2, I've gone for Dan Jones from Sky Sports.
Oh, that's interesting.
So this is more of a work one in which I just feel that he nurtures a conversation so well, and the beauty of him is you actually forget that he's there.
Yeah.
Because his job is to present.
Yeah.
So he's there. He's got Carragher, Roy Keane, Mika Rich, like massive personalities.
Yeah.
And imagine trying to control those.
Yeah.
Like
He's brilliant. He's very
guy in
good.
conversation. And what he does is he lets the conversation go. You're fully entertained the whole time, but he never imposes his own opinion, never imposes his own narrative on the conversation. And for me, that's something that I've like as a professional side. And if you're trying to be as open and guide discussions in a way that he does, I think it's going to help you.
But I suppose, Liam, you say, he's a great presenter, but he's also, because you've just sort of touched on it there, he's a very good facilitator. Because as you're saying, he's facilitating an interview. Not only is he presenting, but as you say, what a job he's got to try and keep all those in order.
100%. So I don't think he gets enough credit, really. Everyone always talks about their favourite pundits, where for me, he's a presenter who, as you said, facilitates conversation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of presenters now, and it's not a dig, but I think a lot of they come up through a different background, whether it be through social media or reality TV, and there's still this element of I'm the main person here.
Yeah, because they're still like celebrities now. Like
exactly.
Phil and Holly is like the big celebrities,
well,
aren't they?
So the major celebs, where I quite like the fact that Dan does it the way he does. And for me, if I was ever to continue doing public speaking stuff, he would be one who I always look at and go, I want to learn from him.
Really interesting.
I thought a lot about this.
I know, it's like a whole essay.
I'm impressed.
And then my last one was Steven Bartlett, who I worked with.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So I had the beauty of working with him for 6-7 months as his content manager during COVID. The Quip struggled for a bit, and I needed to get a new job to keep the bills at bay. And managed to get a job with Steve as his content manager. But
Wow.
Steve as a public speaker, for me, what he's brilliant at is he can bring across big, massive, weighty opinions in very educated, digestible ways, in which is very easy for the viewer to or listener to understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. His best skill is to take massive issues and bring it in a way that anybody can understand what his opinion is on the matter. So, and also I think he would say himself that he wasn't a natural public speaker. I think the first time he ever tried to do a video, they started at like 1:12 in the afternoon, finished at 2 a.m. It was like 2-minute video.
Wow.
Yeah.
You'd never think, because he's just oozes class and calm, and he's so professional.
Yeah, he carries
just makes
himself
it look so
amazingly.
easy, doesn't he?
But it's through working hard at his craft
Wow.
and the prep. And he's got a critical eye for detail in which I've never seen before. He's just... every single thing is thought about.
Attention to detail.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Good on it.
Even like your lights behind you, or like a book on the shelf. He's like, that's not right. Move it a little bit. He's literally like that. But that's helped him in the way that he speaks, for sure. He thinks of every word that he's saying, and he's honed his craft. So
Brilliant. Well, Liam, we hope, I think now we've warmed up our listeners and our viewers. We've warmed them up, nice and toasty, warm and ready to get the meat and the bones.
Let's hit them with it.
And that is, Liam, you ooze confidence now of seeing you speak and present, and Equip's absolutely flying, all the stuff you're doing on social media. Tell us how you've gone from this, and I can remember you as a kid knocking about with my own son, quiet, unassuming lad, to this, I would say, like fearless, very confident adult. Talk us, how has that happened?
Do you know what? It's really interesting, because when you said come on to the podcast, I've never actually had to reveal or chat about this side of my life before. And when you said, look at you back when you were a kid, I've never even done that before myself. And
really?
Gone. So it was actually like a bit of self-analysis of going, oh yeah, actually, I was quite introvert and I was quite shy. And I think the first thing that I want to say is that I think a lot of credit goes for the teachers that I had in Gilmore, especially. Because I was a quiet kid at first, and I would say, confident but introvert at the same time. So I'll give you one example. I was quite a good runner when I was in school. Competed in the cross country team and athletics. And every time when we go for a cross country race, the way you do it is like your team and the top runner lines up at the front, and then they line up behind. And Miss Tynan or Mr. Gibbons would take a photo every time we lined up. Every single photo, I'm nearly in tears. Nearly in tears. I'm nervous, because I'm right at the front so everyone can see it, and I look like I've seen a ghost on like every single picture. And I spoke to my mum about it, and she was like, "Oh, Liam would drive there, and you'd be like, your belly's aching and nervous, just the amount of pressure that was putting on myself."
Wow.
So there was that element of I was capable of achieving and doing good stuff, but I didn't quite like that idea of the spotlight and the pressure, and I did feel uncomfortable doing it at times, until obviously that whistle goes, you're running, and then you're off, and then it sort of dies off as you're running around. And then on that side as well, my mum brought up a story in which the athletics was coming up for the 800 metres city champs, and I started going to school early, because we used to go to Linda Campbell, who you know, who's babysitter, who was around the corner. I started going to the schoolyard early, before any kids got there, to practice laps around the schoolyard.
Dedication.
I didn't think that anybody had seen me. And Mr. Gibbons and Miss Tynan told me mum that that's what he was doing, as if like that was like a great thing. No one had told me to do it. I just did it. My mum told me that they'd seen me. I stopped doing it.
Oh,
wow.
So
that's interesting, isn't it?
Isn't it? So this is the thing. I was like looking at it. I was going, the self-analysis side. There was that bit of determination in me to try and push myself, but I didn't like people knowing about it.
Yeah.
Which, when you said, I remember you as a kid, Liam, and you were quite into it, I was like, actually, yeah, he's spot on. I was a bit like that. And then, but they continued to push me into the positions that I needed to be, which was uncomfortable. And I ended up winning the 800 metre city championship.
I can remember you running in the cross country. I remember, because I used to go standing there in the field.
Oh, you could hear you from the other side of the field.
Middle of winter.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, but just hold that thought there, because the point you just made, which is amazing, where you're saying your ex-head teacher, Miss Tynan, saw your training and you stopped because you didn't like that attention. A whole massive part of glossophobia, which is the fear of actually speaking in public, a part of it, if you look at the dictionary definition, is not liking attention on yourself. That's actually part of glossophobia. So it's very interesting that you raised that.
Yeah, so that was a big thing. And then year 6 play came along, and they put me in one of the lead roles. And again, I think it was them going, "You're not getting away with this. We're putting you in there."
I've actually got the DVD of him and my son.
Yeah.
So if you don't behave yourself, I'll be putting it on YouTube. I'll be showing
It'd be
everyone.
more embarrassing for your Joel than me. I'm sure he was like Prince Charming or something, where I was just like this moody inspector, wasn't I? But Joel was Prince Charming. You know him with the hair. Very, very Valentine. But yeah, no. So that was another opportunity in which they've pushed me in which I would never have asked for. But, you know, you have to adapt and you have to, and even though at that time you're not young enough to understand how you're developing, I've got to give credit to the teachers there at Gilmore for putting me in uncomfortable situations.
It's good that you never went like, oh no, I'm not doing that.
That's the thing. I think I was always a case. My mum would never let me do that, by the way. My mum was always like, if you get an opportunity like that, you do
Take
it.
it.
You every sport, every after school club, I was at every single one. My mum wouldn't let me not be involved. So I think that was, you know, there's credit to my mum. There's credit to my teachers in school.
So you've given us a baseline there, Liam. So you said as a child, as a kid, you know, growing into your teens, you lacked in confidence and had certain issues. Okay, very honest and really helpful for us. So now, if you take us forward to like when you said you were like 17, 18, started speaking in public. I mean, to be thrown in to speak as a 17, 18-year-old in front of 300 to 400 adults. I mean, that, you know, never mind, not even peers, adults, where the judgment or the fear of judgment is massive. Tell us what it was like. How fearful were you to start with, and how you grew in confidence?
I was definitely nervous at first, but I think there was one big life decision that really helped, and it came when we were choosing whether to stay on at sixth form or go to college, and I was down to go to sixth form at St Margaret's, and at the last minute, maybe 2 days before, I went to Everton Football College instead.
Right.
To do a sports BTEC, and again, it put me out my comfort zone. None of my mates were going with me. Every single one of my friends stayed at St Margaret's. And I remember I was away at the time when my GCSE results came back, and my mum went to pick them up. And I won't name the teacher, but my mum got the results, and the teacher went, "Oh, we're looking forward to seeing Liam back here in sixth form." And she went, "Oh no, he's decided he's going to Everton Football College to do sports BTEC." And the teacher went, "Oh, what a waste."
Oh my God.
I know, isn't it?
Dear.
Yeah. So that's my mum was fuming. Fuming. She went back home, talking about, ring me grandma, you what this teacher said. Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, I went, and that put me again in an uncomfortable situation, but there was no exams. So a lot of it was based on coursework, but then also presentation. I remember doing a presentation, doing it quite well. And again, I never really understood that I was actually okay at public speaking at this point. But one of the lads turned to me and went, "Hey, you put the power in PowerPoint, you."
I
was like,
I like that.
Yeah.
Ding dong.
The power in
Yeah, I love
PowerPoint.
that.
It stuck to Callum Woods' his name. It stuck with me. So
PowerPoint,
the
I like
power in
that.
PowerPoint. And then that sort of made me go, maybe I could actually look and test the waters with this. And I was getting a bit more confident at that age and experienced being in different surroundings, different college and whatever. And then during this time as well, I became a Christian when I was 17, like 2 weeks before I turned 18. And then people in church were saying, "Oh, well, maybe you could try this and try that." And then when I first started, I was really nervous. I was very fearful, but I had a good backbone of people who were looking out for me and guiding me and encouraging me at the same time. I think that's a big thing is, you know, when you first start off, the people saying keep going or have a little think about this or don't take criticism to heart. See it as like a really good thing. I love it when people say to me, "Oh, this could have been like this." Even if I don't agree with them, it's something to think about.
Give you some feedback afterwards. Yeah, no,
But
that's helpful.
especially when I was younger, there was definitely loads of areas in which I needed to be told, you can improve on this thing, or you're saying this in a certain way and you could pronounce it better, or you're taking pauses and saying, okay, or stuff like that in the way that you speak.
Yeah.
For people to come and do that was massive, and then you just grow in confidence, and the more and more that you do it, you almost see it as like moving the what's the saying? Moving the goalposts. Yeah, further and further.
Sporting analogy there for you. You can't help yourself, can you? It's late in your DNA.
Yeah, that's it. In my
Well,
veins.
Liam, so take us back to you're 18. You're starting to speak in front of massive groups, 300, 400. Most normal people wouldn't do that. Most, average.
I don't think
Joes.
I was off.
And it'd be absolutely terrifying. Were you fearful? And if you were, what were you fearful? Can you remember what kind of things were you worried about delivering that presentation? What kind of things were you fearful of?
I don't know actually. I think if thinking back to it, I wouldn't say that I was trembling at the thought of speaking to the amount of people.
Right.
So
the numbers wasn't
an issue. So
it's a big audience.
So if there was 400 or whether there was two,
big audience. Yeah.
I don't think it was that. I think it was more about saying the right thing and the way I came across, whether that be to the one person or to everyone. And I'm not quite sure whether that's just been something natural or.
So to sum that up, are we saying a fear of judgment of saying the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Would you say that was a fair?
Oh, definitely.
Kind of,
that was definitely part of it. Especially when you start off in church, where there's a lot of critical eye on whether you're saying the right thing, and if you didn't, you get dragged off. You're getting hooked.
Did you ever get the cough of death of Mr. Bygroves?
Oh yeah, because you know me, I talk for ages. That's it now, Liam.
There's the main pastor Bill, who's this incredible speaker.
Yeah.
And I got it a few times. If you're going on too long, or he basically didn't like what you're saying, you get the cough of death, and you'd know.
Off you go.
Yeah, you're getting off. So
yeah,
amazing.
But as I say, it was massive for me, but yeah, I was nervous, and I would definitely get that feeling in your belly. But now, if I was doing it, I don't get nervous. So again, it's that moving the goalposts. You overcome it, and then you put yourself in the next uncomfortable position. And my big advice on that would be is to constantly look for that next uncomfortable position to put yourself in, because then you're constantly increasing your ability of what you can do and what you're capable of. And the people who do that the most are the ones who are going to get higher up in that certain industry.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant though. Well, what is amazing to see is I can remember you coming, because I used to run the the church kids club, and that was a massive training ground for me to learn to speak, and a similar experience that you had when I was doing the kids program. I had an opportunity to virtually speak every week to a group of about 50, 60 kids, but we had, a big team, 10, 15 volunteer workers. So it was an amazing opportunity. I failed so many times. I messed up so many times, had some successes. Brilliant training ground, very similar to yourself. Not as big an audience as you had. But what was amazing is you were actually sitting there in that children's group.
Oh yeah.
When I led it with my kids.
Well, we'd all watch you guys and be maybe not me at that point, because I wasn't really a church goer. I started going properly when I was 17, 18. My mum always took me to youth work type stuff. She became a Christian when I was a bit older, but I definitely wasn't. Probably an element of let's get into St. Margaret's as well. Probably. But I wasn't. My family wasn't always at church, but there was definitely an element of when I hit a certain age. Those guys are cool. I love the way they do that. It felt like a warm, welcoming place, and I think when I then clicked on and became a Christian, it was I'd like to be like them because of the influence that they had on me.
For me, it's amazing. It's a real privilege to see you and our Joel and and all your peer group coming to a kids club. I'm going back 20 years, and now you're standing up presenting yourself and absolutely smashing it. It's brilliant to see. It's amazing to have seen your journey at the start, but to see how you've grown in confidence, it's incredible. So, bringing us up to speed to where you are now. How has that confidence and that fearlessness, how has it grown? What would you say in the last few years, Liam?
It's grown now to a point where I've understood that idea of putting yourself in the uncomfortable situation and not being afraid of the answers that you might be afraid of, whether it be no, that's not good enough, or no, this job isn't for you, or no, we're not going to buy into what Equip's about, whatever it may be.
But what was the turning point? I'm going to pick it up on that. So you're saying, when you were 18, you said you were fearful of judgment. Now you're saying you're not fearful of judgment. What's happened? What's been the sort of turning point for you?
I think I'd probably put it down to winning that competition at UCFB when I was around 20 years old, on the basis of, and it sticks with me to this day, I sort of said to myself, if I convince someone who's a co-founder of Orlando FC, a director of Burnley Football Club at 20 years of age, to buy into something that I've just made up in my head,
You're doing something right.
then I can do this. Like I can
Yes,
talk to
Liam.
anyone.
We'll have it all
And-
day, son. Come on.
So and sometimes you
Yes,
need little
lad.
moments like that
Yeah.
to go. Actually, no, I am okay at this, and I can work on it and be better. But there's still something to work with for sure. And that was the moment then where I was able to put myself in more uncomfortable situations. Had loads of no's, messed up loads of times, but loads of things came off. Building Equip. You know, trying to convince schools to take us on. They'd never heard of us when we first started off, but here we are now, and we've been in loads of schools and 500,000 followers on TikTok, and all these things. It started with very humble beginnings. We did our first event with Equip, and I went round schools with flyers to parents, just chatting to them on school gates. Asked the school first, obviously, and just said, "Is it okay if I let parents know about this?"
Yeah.
First event we did had 16 children on the first day, which doesn't cover the cost of maybe 2 staff members.
Yeah.
But it grew to like over 100 kids.
Brilliant.
It's amazing.
So yeah,
Brilliant journey.
humble beginnings, being willing to go, put yourself in the humble positions, I'll be the one who goes with the leaflets and chats to people, to now where we are now. So again, uncomfortable positions constantly to then get that future success. Like for the example, getting the job with Steve, which I spoke to you about before, but it's a good example for potential young people listening to this. He put a job out saying, content manager, give me 3 points of why you should be my content manager. I've never done content before in my life. This is Steven Bartlett, who ran Social Chain, a media marketing empire, and I've never done social media before in my life. And
I love this story.
And I
Brilliant.
gave so the 3 points I gave, I did a treasure hunt on social media
Oh,
for
you'd
him.
love this, Caitlin. You'd love this.
So I know that Steve was a Man United fan, so I edited a picture of me in an Everton top and him in a Man United top, put Sky Sports, and put the tweet, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," as point 1 of why you should hire me, because we both don't like Liverpool. Of course. So it said that, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." There's this picture of me and Steve, and if you scroll down on my Twitter, you'll probably find it at some point. And then the next line said, "Head over to LinkedIn for point 2. Then on LinkedIn, I spoke about how Equip at that time during COVID was struggling. It was all in schools and events. Schools shut down, and you couldn't do any events. So, boom. So suffered massively. Needed to get a new job at that time to make sure that I could pay me bills and stuff. But I also wanted to do something good and learn as well. So I spoke about that on LinkedIn with a post of the Equip team, like saying this is what Equip was about. Difficult time. I need a new challenge. And then the last one was a TikTok. Steve had already said that he was going to do a podcast interview with me because of a previous podcast guest who I'd interviewed. Because that podcast guest, Jack, said that he was better than him at footy, and Steve wanted to set the record straight. And he was like, "No, that's not happening. I'm coming on to say I'm better at footy than Jack." So instead of the podcast interview, I said, "How about you give me an interview for the job?" He said to me, he sent me an email back. He said, "Out of over 850 applicants, you're the only person I've looked at."
Oh my
It's
days.
incredible.
Yeah, come
That's
down.
amazing, isn't it?
I also said on the email, so I'd sent him the email, sent him the link to all of the posts, and then I'd made a top trump of myself with strengths and weaknesses. And
As you do. I just, because I've got nothing else. Oh,
Yeah,
You
so-
know what? You got to stand
brilliant.
out, haven't you?
well, so I did it.
That's
So I made
brilliant.
a top trump,
So
and I put
cool.
but I actually put as my weakness copywriting, which the whole role was based on copywriting. I'm the worst speller ever. If there's one skill that you say, work on that and you'll get better, I will not get better at spelling.
Grammarly, we'll send you the link to Grammarly. Go on.
Oh yeah, so I need that in my life. But yeah, I actually said on it, copywriting is definitely not my skill, but I'm happy to work on it. And Steve was like, I like that approach of being honest with it. And again, eventually, the reason why I left there was, no bad blood. I actually loved it. I loved the team. I've seen them a few times since. But the role just wasn't me. It was very copywriting, copywriting focused role, and I'm not a copywriter. I'm more presenter, speaker, and obviously working with Steve as well. It's his podcast, it's his personal brand. I was never going to really have an opportunity to probably present or build Equip while being there, because also, and rightly so, you need to be 100% focused on that job when you're working there. It's such a massive opportunity. So I felt the time had run its course. I also said to Steve, I feel like you can get a better content manager than me, because I am not a copywriter in any way, shape or form. I think the new girl, Grace, well, the new girl, she's been there ages now, but she's fantastic. So I'm made up for them. But yeah, that uncomfortable situation of being willing to say, like, put yourself on Twitter, me with an Everton top on and him with a Man United top on. If he doesn't respond to that, I look like an idiot. If you know what I mean? And people would be scared to put themselves out on social media like that and say, hey, Steve, this is me. But it worked.
But that's brilliant because
Yeah.
you've put it out there and not had the fear of judgment. And if it goes pear-shaped, it goes pear-shaped. But I think he's like his honesty, hasn't he, Caitlin? Don't you think?
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
honesty
Yeah.
has caught his eye. But that's an incredible story.
It's a good, yeah. And the only reason why I say it is because I do think it's helpful for other people. I didn't realise it at the time when I was doing it. But that, as you said, that lack of fear of judgment now that has grown in me, I'm okay to put myself in that vulnerable position where he might not even see it. And my mates just go, oh, what's Liam doing there? But, you know, it paid off.
That's the worst that would happen as well, isn't it?
Worst is
Mates would be
happening,
like,
my mates would
what
go
are
in
you
the
doing?
pub. Oh, see this? Look at Liam in an Everton top, Steve Bartlett in United top. What's the worst that's going to happen? Have a laugh about it and go, yeah, oh well.
It's worth the risk, innit?
Yeah.
But you've hit the nail on the head for us, Liam, because when we coach it at Speaking Win events, we say that the big part of getting over that fear of speaking, it's rejecting the judgment. And that's one of the, we have like kind of 3 main coaching points or 3 pillars of Speaker Win. It's reject the judgment. We've put actions to it.
I was going to say, you're going to show me a little dance.
I've got it. No, but it's reject. No, but it's rejecting the judgment, embracing failure, become fearless.
That's it.
But that's exactly what you've done. But there are 3 coaching points.
Yeah.
But the first thing you've got to do, and we do a lot of work on this at our events, and that is, it's about your mindset and how to actually physically reject the judgment, because it's enormous. And what we say to the young people, and you'll love this, whether it's children or young people or adults, we say, you know, even if you stay safe and have a very mediocre life, people will judge you. If you're like a Steven Bartlett, you know, or the stratosphere, people will judge you. They're going to judge you whatever.
Gonna judge you
whatever
no
you
matter where
do,
you are.
you're getting judged 24/7,
100%.
100 days a week. So you might as well have a go at something.
Yeah.
Don't worry about failing, because we live in a very judgmental society. So the first thing we have
be
to do,
brave.
if we're going to find that courage to speak, it's to reject the judgment. And you've absolutely nailed it and said that's been one of the main reasons why you've developed your
But if young
confidence.
people are taught by people like you to do that, there's no reason why anybody can't achieve what I would say that I've done, because as we've said, I was an introverted, more shy kid growing up, and I've been able to do that just by being put in uncomfortable positions by good educators and good people around me. So it's good that there's things like Speak and Win that go around and do that to make sure that these young people believe in themselves as well, for sure.
It's like what Grace says, isn't it? You got to surround yourself by good people to do better for yourself. What's his analogy? What's he say? Sinks? No, it's not. What's it? Drains?
Oh,
and-
yeah, it's drains. There's drainers and there's radiators.
That's it, that's
We
it.
don't want drainers. We
Yeah.
don't want drainers. We want radiators.
Definitely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Well, I don't know where the time has gone. But
I know,
thank you
flew
for
by.
being so honest. We're just going to finish off on a bit of a high note. And we're going to do this with all our guests. And I'm going to pitch you against Caitlin now. She's very competitive.
no.
Oh, dear.
No, it's all the theme is all around brilliant speakers. So I've got an amazing person in my head who
Okay.
is a brilliant communicator, brilliant speaker. You both know him, by the way. It's a male.
Okay.
Okay. You can ask me a question. I can say yes or no. We're only going to do it for 1 minute.
Okay.
And whoever gets it first, now, if she beats you, you're going to
So
get...
we take it in turns with the
Take it in
questions.
turns to ask a question. I can only answer yes or no. You've got 1 minute. I'm looking at the clock.
I'm gonna
The
win
time
this.
is going.
This
I
is the
don't
most work I've ever done. I'm so stressed.
Ladies
think-
first, you can ask
so,
first.
Okay, so off you go.
Right, we already know it's man, don't we?
It says yes.
Is he a presenter?
Yes-ish.
Is he in the sports industry?
No.
Oh, it's hard.
No pressure. There's no pressure.
there's way
Feel
too much
the pressure.
pressure.
Feel the judgments if you get beat.
Does he support Everton?
I have no idea.
Right.
Is it James Corden?
Oh my days.
No,
How did
that's
he
not
get-
right.
How did you?
You see that?
I think that's telepathy, you know.
That's it.
I
In
think
his
that
head.
is
That's not
telepathy.
fair.
I don't even know how he got that.
I'm sat closer.
How on earth?
I'm in his head. I'm in his head. Live there rent free. I just know inside out what he's going to say.
Oh, Liam, you crack me up, right?
Why did you question it when
Easy win.
he's a presenter? It's his whole job.
I said ish. Hang
Hang
on, no, Caitlin, I'm sorry. I disagree.
Well, I got it. Didn't I say?
I
got it.
I'd say he's a host.
Yeah,
Right.
good shout.
He does a bit of presenter
and that's
because I said
different.
presenter-ish.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
There's a big difference,
the Dan Jones situation that we spoke about before.
Facilitating, presenting,
Okay,
hosting,
fine.
yeah.
But listen, we won't fall out. I told you she was competitive.
So it's just in the series, so this is 1-0 the guest, and Caitlin's on the nil.
You've let Speak and Win down. You've let yourself
I'm not
down.
coming
Your
back
mum
to do
down.
another one. It's Graham's turn.
Oh, dear.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. Come
Wait,
back, Graham,
before you
always
go,
forgiven.
what's your favourite TikTok sound?
Favourite TikTok sound?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good question.
that is a good one.
Can you do the Louis through my money don't jiggle jiggle?
My money don't jiggle jiggle. It falls. I like the way you wiggle wiggle for sure. I need to practice the dance moves bit, but
Oh, I
do
know it
love
all,
that.
don't you worry.
Look at that.
Just before I say me thank yous and we finish and close, a couple of things left to do. Just tell us how the experience has been for you today.
Yeah.
You know, if you say anything upsetting, if
We'll
you slate
cut it out.
us, you know, we'll take it on the chin. But just, I'll just give us some feedback.
No,
What have you enjoyed about your interview?
I've enjoyed, as I mentioned before, the idea of looking back at your life and sort of seeing where your progress is made. It was actually a quite nice self-analysis tool to look back, and almost a little bit encouraging as well to go, wow, actually, yeah, I can see how I've improved over the years. You know, it's something that some people might usually do at the end of a year or a new job or whatever, but it acted as a nice point to go, yeah, I love the conversation, love the fun, the quirkiness. You feel very free to say whatever you want and be honest and very transparent. And I hope the big thing for me would be the sort of the message of what Speak and Win is that it's actually not just about us guys having a chat and having a laugh here. There's actually some sort of good, solid advice that's going out to young
Substance.
people.
Brilliant.
For sure.
We've enjoyed having him, haven't we? He's been
Yeah,
great,
absolutely.
hasn't he? I mean, he set the bar quite high. Well, he set it very high, hasn't he? So our future guests, they need to get the
Graham can win next time, it's okay.
Every podcast episode we do, we're going to finish on a quote, again, based around speaking and confidence. And I've found an absolute gem from our Mark Twain, because we all love a bit of Mark Twain. He said this, brilliant quote. It usually takes about 3 weeks to prepare a really good impromptu speech.
I like
So
it.
I'll just let that sink in. So basically what he's saying is even something off the top of your head, really what he's saying is you need to practice. Goes back to what you said about Steven Bartlett, the attention to detail. The times in my life where I've nailed a really good talk or presentation, it's always been about the preparation. And I could tell you many times I've died on my backside. I've died in front of 500 people on my backside. You learn very quickly from painful experiences, and it's not a nice experience.
Yeah, no,
dying on
definitely
your
not.
backside in front of 400 or 500 people. You learn quickly. But what I would say is, again, to build your confidence, if you've been encouraged and inspired by Liam's story, please, take this away with you. If you want to nail a presentation or you want to build your confidence to speak, it's about your prep, your practice, repetition. And Liam made a really good point before about putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. As long as it's safe and it's legal to do so, put yourself in comfortable situations and push through it. That's what we coach at Speaking. Push through it. That's what builds your confidence. That's what helps you become fearless, like this young lion over here. Liam, it's been brilliant. I've got a few thank yous to say. So thanks to Liam,
Woo.
founder of
problem.
Equip. Woo, woo.
No, thanks for having me.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, our future guests, they'll be trembling because you have set the bar very high. Thank you to our Caitlin, our
Always.
superstar, looks after all our social media. We've got an amazing summer planned, loads on the go. To Graham Forrest from Stylographic for our amazing logos, our incredible banners, and helping us with our marketing. To Joe from Podcast.
Joe!
I've got Joe Hollywood on the brain, you see. I've got Joe's and
so
Jacob. Yeah. But you know what? I'm not gonna worry about the rejection that I'm gonna get on the judgments. I'm just gonna reject the judgments.
That's it.
Because I've been slated by Jacob. I apologise. He's put his big boy pants on, and and if you've got any podcast needs, come and see our Jacob at Liverpool Podcast Studios, and he will look after you. Now we are on more platforms than Euston Station. So we've got Instagram. We have got Instagram. Did you like that one? We've got
was a good
Instagram.
one.
We've got. Please share us on LinkedIn. Share us on whatever platform you're comfortable with. But there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's LinkedIn. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. All kinds of different platforms. So please share this podcast, especially Liam's incredible story, and let's hope that it encourages someone, gives them tools and tricks to build their courage to speak so that they can win in life. I am Si. This is Caitlin. That's Liam. He's Jacob, not Joe. We are Speak and Win. See you soon, guys. Take care.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please remember to follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all of those things.